Hi, I'm going to start by giving my feedback to Group 2, and first I want to highlight the strengths of the presentation. I really liked that they began with the main conclusion saying that Chile is the best option for Amazon's new data center and briefly explaining why. This made the whole presentation more clear and easy to follow. Their analysis was very detailed and well organized. They clearly explained what Amazon needs and then compare how each country meets those needs. The structure was logical. They started with an overview of their answer and then went deeper into each aspect, always including a short conclusion at the end of every section. Another strong point is that they use real data and figures to support their arguments, from sources like the World Bank or the Chile and Argentina government, which made their analysis more solid and credible. They also applied several analytical frameworks like CAGE, asset exposure, value creation and capture, and liability of fairness, and used them consistently to support their arguments, and this showed a very good understanding of the class concepts. Finally, the presentation felt professional and complete, with a clear structure similar to a really consulting report. Now I will go for the suggestions for improvement. In the last two slides, the numerical comparison between countries was a bit confusing. Since the values were indexed to 100 and not fully explained, it was hard to understand where the values come from. It might be clear if they use a different scale, like 1 to 5 score or level comparison, as in the previous slides. But overall, it was a very strong and professional presentation. And now I will share my feedback for Group 5. Starting with the strengths, I think that their presentation had a very strong theoretical foundation. They based their analysis on the main courses frameworks like CAGE, value creation and capture, a Dennings OLI model, and liability of fairness, and they made clear reference to the theory. And that connection between concepts and application was very well done. Another strong point is that they use comparative scoring and benchmarks for three criteria: market potential, institutional factors, and value creation, and this made the reasoning more transparent and easy to follow. It helped the audience to understand why they reached their conclusion and also gave clear insight for executive decision making. So the presentation was coherent and consistent. All the comparisons and analysis led to the same result, that Chile is the best option, which made your argument solid and convincing. Now I will go for the suggestion for improvement. While some of the slides were a bit difficult to interpret on their own, meaning that they needed someone to explain them, and since the presentation should also work as a consulting report, it will be good to add some bit more information in the slides so they can be understood independently. Regarding the graphs about macroeconomic indexes, the scale was a bit confusing and it was hard to understand the quantities, so they could make it clearer by focusing on the most important indexes like the GDP or the percentage of Tecnolatinas and explaining them more deeply, or maybe by dividing them into two slides. Finally, at the end of the presentation, they should state their conclusion more explicitly, because they finish with the idea that Chile is the best option, but it wasn't clearly written on the last slide, so adding a short final statement would make the message stronger. And overall, it was a well-prepared and theoretically solid presentation with good comparisons and analysis. Thanks for watching. Bye!